Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nacho Cheese.
And I am Unctuous.
And we are going to be getting started here. Game 2 in round 2 of the small-time tournament. We are watching a match between BigPotato and Stilgar. And if you're just tuning in, Stilgar just took Game 1 pretty handily from BigPotato. Was able to overwhelm BigPotato's Marine tank army with his own Ling Baneling Muta army in the middle and just shut down any economy and just sort of wipe the floor with him. So now we are getting started with BigPotato's choice of map. It is Stilgar Caverns, and we will have to see if Stilgar is going to finish his 2-0 sweep in this best-of-3 series, or if we're going to see a comeback from BigPotato, our Red Terran down here.
You know, I'm not really sure you can call a 2-0 win a sweep. Well, 2 victories isn't really a sweep. It's kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't call it that. But getting into the game, our map right now, all of our maps in this particular map pool are MLG friendly, which, as I stated before, means that we have things like this little supply depot down here preventing wall loss at the bottom of each ramp, as well as a few changes throughout different maps depending on where destructible rocks are, if there are rocks into the back door of your base or not, things like that. Now, in the bottom left-hand corner, we have our Red Terran, BigPotato spawning, and in the top right-hand corner, our Green Zerg. Now, last round, our Zerg player did a very good job of taking advantage of the fact that our Red Terran's economy was not where it should have been when it should have been. But there was a few slip-ups on our Zerg friend's part. His economy wasn't booming as early as it could have been. He probably could have taken him earlier in third than he did, and hopefully we'll see that ironed out in this upcoming game. But it all depends on what's going on with our Terran player. And at this point, 2 racks are coming out to complete the wall off for him, which means that these 2 barracks are going to be easily spotted by this drone trying to get up and see what's going on. And that's going to give our Zerg player a good read of the situation as far as how many Marines are coming out and when they are.
That SCV is pretty unhappy about getting caught in a corner there with his fighting drone, but he is able to escape using the mineral trick. We'll have to see if he can get away with his life, as he only has 1 hit left on him. However, this barracks is finished. Marine going to be popping out. This barracks just now finishing. He'll probably be getting Marine out of that. Yep. Is the most reasonable unit to get out of a barracks when you've just finished. It's also the only unit you can get out once it's just finished. And we'll have to see if BigPotato goes super aggressive with his 2 racks like we've seen in earlier games, or if he's just going to be getting a good amount of units out and maybe use that for some map control and play a little more defensively. Now, that 2 racks pressure usually works best against a fast expanding Zerg, but Stilgar right now has got his pool first as opposed to his hatchery, so he should have a good enough amount of units to deal with any pressure if it comes out. However, he is sending his Lings out against what's turning out to be a sizable army this early in the game. 3 Marines and 5 SCVs moving up. They are completely avoiding each other, going on opposite sides of this chasm of doom in the middle of the map. And we will have to see whose pressure beats who, as BigPotato starting his bunkers down here to try and set up a contain on Stilgar.
As far as the contain is concerned, I don't think these 2 bunkers are in the best position. He will keep that hatchery from going down, as it was quickly canceled. And it looks like we have a Baneling nest going up, which I think is a very great response to these bunkers. Banelings swinging in can just take out those bunkers in a matter of pretty much an instant if they all get in there in time. Now, I have to say, it was kind of humorous seeing those 5 SCVs all coming out. Oh, it looks like the Marines and the SCVs are going to push up into the Zerg base. The SCVs are going to be able to take a little bit of damage from the Marines that are right behind them. 1 Marine does get taken out, and 1 bunker is complete. We don't see any Marines moving in there quite yet. We're going to do a little bit more harassment on these Zerglings that are going to try to take out the SCVs. Marines just making it into the bunker in time. None of them going down at this point. Moving in again to try to take care of that. All these little eggs that are hatching. Drones are getting pulled off the mineral line. Zerglings coming in, trying to get us around, unable to do so. Completely trying to push off the Marines. We will push them off, but there's a lot of economic damage coming from our Terran player. Those Zerglings won't be able to get us around quite yet. Marines still moving out and filling up that bunker. This is very, very, very useful harassment for our Terran player. He's going to be able to keep anything coming out of our Zerg's base.
Stilgar was able to finish up his Zergling speed, so his Zerglings are just a little bit faster, and that is going to help them in this fight get surrounds and prevent the Marines from going straight back to that bunker, which really is going to save his life right now. Banelings starting to get morphed in, just a couple Banelings. If BigPotato is not very careful with his Marines, those Banelings could do massive, untold amounts of damage to them, and maybe even take them out. Stilgar moving his Marines down, or moving his Zerglings down, and Stilgar sneaks those Banelings out of the base. Don't know what he is thinking there. He's saving them to clean up those Marines, does use 2 of them and clean up all of those Marines in that bunker, and that does relieve a lot of the pressure as the second bunker is not in range of the ramp. Stilgar is now able to send a lot of his units after BigPotato's base. Not sure how BigPotato is going to be able to finish up or transition out of this, as he is pulling his Marines out of that bunker. He's salvaging that bunker. He's pulling all the Marines back. I don't know if it's going to be in time. At the same time, though, Stilgar just does not have a very large force of Zerglings and only 1 Baneling. Baneling bust pretty effective, but not when you only have 1 Baneling. He does get a nice surround on these 6 Marines out in the center of the map and cleans those up. And we may just see this transition into a very normal game, although we do have 3 barracks for BigPotato off of 1 base. That cannot last much longer, as that's just a lot of production to try and handle, especially when you start throwing add-ons, which BigPotato is neglecting to do, probably because he feels really worried about his opponent, and he has good cause to be.
Stilgar moved a Zergling out right in front of the Terran player's base, who's going to be able to scout that natural and see exactly when the natural goes down. While this large Zergling, and 1 Baneling force, is protecting the hatchery that's about to go down. As long as our Zerg player does get that hatchery down before the Terran player moves out, he's going to be able to hold off anything that the Terran player moves this way. Especially with that Zergling down there and 2 Zerglings on each of a Zergling apiece on each of the Zalmaga watchtowers, he's going to be able to see any movement coming out. There's no starport down quite yet, which means that there's not going to be any drop play going on. And the only thing really protecting our Terran player right now is this wall off and this bunker, which means he's just going to have to turtle up, try to take care of any Zerglings that poke up that ramp, but as long as he's turtled up, our Zerg player is going to be able to macro up. He does have this macro hatch down, which means that he has a lot of larvae out right at this moment. He's on nearly 2 base, and a macro hatch. He's going to be able to drone up a little bit harder than usual, and as a reflex, he's going to be able to pick up any Marines coming his way, and he's going to be able to respond to it rather easily. I would say at this point, it doesn't look like our Zerg players really have too much of a disadvantage.
Stilgar did sacrifice an Overlord to get in here and see exactly what was happening. Take a look at his camera. He did see both of these factories with tech labs. He did see all 3 of these barracks. He sees this other command center down here and knows that that is not floated out to the expansion, as he does have a Zergling there, which means we now have a 2-base Zerg up against a 1-base Terran. That harassment did look really good while it lasted, but now we're seeing the Terran player is a lot further behind because of it. He really needs to push out and secure himself an expansion, which is exactly what he's thinking as he moves out to take out this fearless Pesterling who runs forward into the face of danger only to get demolished before he can do anything. And now this Marine tank army, instead of playing defensive, is going to be pushing out. Let's see if it can do any damage.
I don't think it's going to be able to do too much, especially with these Zerglings. It looks like they were going to try to intercept the force right in the center of the map, which I think might have been a good idea, because it would have delayed this force pushing across a little bit more, but it just looks like he's opting to get all the Zerglings up inside his own base, letting them move forward a little bit, but now the fact that he let the siege tank siege up right in front of his natural, he's not going to be able to move anything out of there. It might have been nice to have taken advantage of the fact that those tanks weren't sieged up as they were moving across the map. Now it looks like he's just going to go ahead and leapfrog these tanks forward. 1 tank moving right into the vicinity of that hatch, going to be able to take out those Zerglings, rushing in, taking care of those Marines first. Now Bane's moving in. Those 2 tanks will go down. The tanks still in front and still take care of that hatchery. Nearly all the Marines are cleaned up, but all the Zerglings are gone. Two of them now just trying to eat away at that one little huge tank. And this hatchery is going to be safe. Once that tank kind of gets out of there, which I believe it did go down at this point, it's just going to revive its life. It's going to get its life right back. However, we do see reinforcements coming out, a ton of Marines and 2 more tanks coming out. Zerglings are just trying to eat away at the Marine army, now moving back, while these 2 tanks are still just scooped up right outside of the base. Nothing's going to be able to get out. Our Zerg player isn't going to be able to take a third at this point, and our Terran player successfully secured his 3rd base, now getting another barracks to transition out of this.
So BigPotato is now up on 2 bases. Stilgar mining for the 2nd base, but still not mining as hard as he could, or as hard as he wants to, because again, he has to spend all his larva on lings and banelings. He throws his lings and banelings up against that army. Banelings taking out a good amount of Marines and wasting themselves a bit on the siege tank, taking it down to about half health. And this hatchery is going down, trying desperately to spawn larva, and it's not going to happen. And those broodlings actually end up doing a lot of damage against the Marines, not necessarily because the broodlings themselves are strong, but because they force friendly fire attacks from the tanks. Zerglings able to take out one of those tanks, but still 3 on the field, now a 4th moving up. And this is just not looking great for our Zerg player. Looks like there's a lot of pressure coming from the Terran player. He's going to be pushing up this ramp. He's going to be taking out his main. And Stilgar, I think, stayed on this Zergling Baneling tech just a little bit longer than he wanted to. Was feeling way too much pressure from that early bunker play. And BigPotato looks to be in a very solid position as he could push up this ramp, but is really feeling no need to. He's got the Zerg contained once again. He knows the Zerg has no roaches, he knows there's no hydras, so there's no ranged attack that's going to threaten these tanks, which are close to the other player's base. Killing off creep tumors, and now moving his Marines up there to get vision. This is looking all the way bad for Stilgar. BigPotato looks like he is going to take game 2, and we are going to go to an ace match. But we will have to see as the action unravels right here.
Indeed, this unrolling action as the Zerglings move forward, and the Banelings are moving in, taking out all the Marines, now moving down to try to take care of those tanks. Going to get in there. I would attack those bottom 2 tanks first, and let all of his tank friends just fire on both of those. That area damage, splash damage, should be enough to take care of both of those. He did take out that front tank, but Marines moving forward, and 2 more tanks moving forward to take care of the fact that tank is gone. Tanks are now rolling right into the Zerg base. Zerglings moving forward, not going to be able to do too much damage. Both those tanks will stay up. Oh, one tank does go down, but Stilgar has to tap out because there was nothing that he could do in the game.
So BigPotato using that very popular Terran early pressure to his advantage, dipping a little bit in the middle of the game as the pressure started to fail, but was able to follow it up with a pretty solid Marine tank push, and is able to take game 2. Folks, we are going to a game 3 here in round 2 of the small-time tournament. We are going to take a short break. Until then, I am Nacho Cheese.
And my name is Unctuous, and we'll be seeing you right after this little break.
Peace.